Welcome back to another video on the channel. I was planning on covering more of the men's Miami Open, but I've had a couple of job interviews to prepare for. But I am going to be previewing and predicting today's semi-finals, and also I'll be previewing and predicting Sunday's final as well. I have still been catching up on quite a lot of the men's tennis. I think it's been very, very strong so far. We've got two great semi-finals lined up. Jannik Sinner against Roberto Bautista Agut and HURKACZ against Andrei Rublev. So I'm going to start off by looking at Sinner against Bautista Agut, and I think this is a very good matchup and one that will tell us how far in the development we are in Sinner's career. I think it'll be a tough matchup for Sinner, particularly on this slower hard court surface. I think in their previous head-to-head in Dubai, Sinner won in 3 sets, but Dubai played very, very quick and suited his big aggressive ground strokes and serve. On a slower hard court where Bautista will be able to get more balls back in court, use his variety, slow play down, extend the rallies, then I do think Bautista does have to have the edge. But so far, I've been very impressed with Sinner. I mean, he's burst up the scene back in 2020 and just had a fantastic run since. Got many big wins. He's reached quarterfinals, semi-finals, and even finals in one event, which is fantastic at the age that he is. I think he's a future superstar, but also important not to expect too much too soon. He's up against, very, very good players against Bautista Agut and the other next gen group and Federer and Djokovic, Nadal. The quality top is very, very strong. So I think it's important for Sinner that he gains experience, learns, improves his all round game, stays fit, and I'm sure he'll improve for all that experience and mature over time and become a top player in the future. But I think his development, you can already see improvements from him last year, and he's going to this match full of confidence. I think Bautista Agut is often underappreciated on tour. I don't think he's everyone's favourite player to watch. He's got that dogged style. He gets lots of balls back in court. Great fitness, great energy, speed around the court. Switches up in pace, and he's also become more aggressive over time. I do think Bautista Agut is trying to be more aggressive on the big points and try and stamp his authority on the match and hit winners, rather than just relying on the opponent's errors and forcing mistakes from defence and his speed, I guess. And I wasn't at all surprised by Bautista Agut beating Medvedev the other day in straight sets. I think Medvedev hasn't quite played his best tennis since the Australian Open. He looks a little bit fatigued, in my opinion. His footwork's not quite there. He's not counter punching as well as he has done in the past. So for Bautista to come through that one, I wasn't all surprised, and I think these courts have been absolutely perfect for him. Heavy, slow, and as I say, it just allows Bautista to work his magic. He reads play incredibly well. He gets lots of balls back, and I do think in this one he might be able to just force enough errors from Jannik Sinner. I think Sinner's at times, due to his age, is probably a little bit too aggressive and takes on the balls that he perhaps shouldn't, and that's forces unforced errors. And I think with Bautista Agut's changes up in pace and consistent depth, and also mixing that up with the attack and the aggression like I just mentioned, then I do think he'll have enough to come through this one in 3 sets. But it'll be a great learning match for Sinner. There's not many slow hard courts now in 2021, so it'll be an interesting matchup for him to try and break through the defence of Bautista Agut consistently, and also find the variety so he's not too one-dimensional and easy to read. But I'm going to predict Bautista Agut to come through in 3 sets in that one. Moving on to HURKACZ against Andrei Rublev. HURKACZ is a player that sort of burst on the scene and hasn't really lived up to expectations, and this week I've watched a couple of his matches. He's come back against Milos Raonic and also come back in the quarterfinals and against Stefanos Tsitsipas, which was a fantastic win and probably the best win of his career for a couple of years now. And what I liked about HURKACZ in that one, he served incredibly well. I think he had 15 aces, which is a very good number for a 3-set match. And he just took risks. It didn't always come off. He did make unforced errors. He did gift games away at times, but I think if HURKACZ is going to be successful, he has to use them weapons. He has to look to be aggressive, and that's difficult to do on a slow hard court. But so far, he's executed his game plan well. He looks to be confident, looking to come inside the baseline, use that power and height and strength that he's got. And I think that's the best way for HURKACZ to go about his tennis. And unfortunately for him, he's up against Andrei Rublev, who's arguably one of the most consistent tennis players over the past 18 months. I think HURKACZ won their last meeting, but since then Andrei Rublev has cracked the top 10 and won 7 ATP titles, which just shows you how the transformation of Andrei Rublev and the development of Rublev on all surfaces, and how he's transformed his game almost to become an even better player. And I think if anything, these courts will suit Andrei Rublev. I think he's a very consistent player. I've always been critical that I don't think he's got the shot winning power to beat a Djokovic or a Medvedev who've got that fantastic defence. I think he does struggle to break down the best defensive players. But on a slow hard court where Rublev can perhaps just dominate, and from the baseline he's fantastic. You know, he's got great movement, great athleticism, great backhand and forehands down the line, and I think he can just dominate and just force errors out of HURKACZ, keep him on the run, hit winners against HURKACZ, who hasn't got perhaps the best defensive movement and the greatest rally from the baseline. And I think for Rublev, this one, he doesn't have to take too many risks. You know, he doesn't have to hit the lines consistently. I think just staying in the points, extending the rallies, I think Rublev will dominate the baseline exchanges. I think for HURKACZ to win, he has to look to attack the net, try and keep the points short, serve well, return well. But that's all very difficult against a player like Andrei Rublev on a slow, heavy hard court. But I have been very impressed with HURKACZ. You know, he's had 2 fantastic comeback wins against Raonic and Tsitsipas, but again, I think his test against Rublev, who's so consistent and so good and gets consistent depth and pace on the ball from the back of the court, I think this would be undoubtedly his toughest test. Rublev seems to produce his best tennis in the semi-finals and finals. He's a real big match player. He'd be hugely confident now of going on to win this title with the exits of Tsitsipas and Medvedev. He's probably favourite to win this title now. So I'm going to go with Andrei Rublev to win this one in straight sets. I think, yeah, Rublev's just consistency, overall ball striking, probably added power on the ground strokes, and he's got that great first serve if you can get that into play as well. So I'm going to go with Andrei Rublev to meet Roberto Bautista Agut in the Miami Open final. Please leave your comments with who you think will reach Sunday's final in the comment section below. Please leave a like and a subscription. It is always much appreciated, and I will see you on the next video.